Back for game week 31 with some updated projections. Find the standard deviation of every player's Sorare scores for each game of the season. Then I add that standard deviation to their average score based on their per game numbers. And it spits out a high-end estimate of their normal range of outcomes. And that's what we use because we're looking for the highest possible score that player can come up with. And obviously there are outliers on both sides. Generally, players whose minutes are on the rise are the ones that we're looking for, and those outliers are usually on the higher end. It gives us some estimates to use when we're trying to make decisions on who to put in our lineups. Game week 31, let's go. There's a lot of stuff to talk about this week with all the trades going down. Microcap tier. Orlando Robinson, price going down a little bit. He's still just a stash, not playing. L10 of 2. Justin Holiday, but got minutes yesterday with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope out. He's a 4 L10. He got over 20 minutes yesterday. This is just something to monitor. If you see that KCP is out, I would expect Holiday to get a couple of minutes. 17-minute range puts him in the 20 top end. Just one game this weekend. That'd be a flyer. Nasir Little just starting to get a few more minutes in Phoenix with all the deals. They just sent a bunch of big men out of town, so he's a 4 L10 as well. If he can get 12 minutes, puts him in the 15 to 20 range, I would say. One game for Phoenix this weekend. Watch his minutes, see if he starts to get a few more. AJ Green, kind of interesting, coming off a career high last night. He's only an 8 L10. I think he's going to continue to get some minutes right now for the Bucks, especially if Lillard is still out. Lillard's missed the last 2 games. Put up a 39 last night, so pretty impressive. He's going to be going up to an 11 for next game week. Checking his season stats, he's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. 45% from 3, 47 from the field. Hasn't missed a free throw all year, so this guy's just a really good shooter. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to work him in a little bit more coming off a big game like that. Joe Ingles is kind of vanilla in Orlando. He's going to get his 15 minutes. He can get you over 20 points sometimes. Trenton Watford in Brooklyn is one to watch. Brooklyn's sending a lot of pieces out of town at the trade deadline. Watford just a 9 L10. 26 minutes last night for Watford. He's been pretty productive, 1.01 points per minute, but only 9.5 for a top end on that 20-minute estimate. If you can get in the mid-20s, you're looking at a guy who can score you probably 35 points. This is one to watch for sure. Lester Quinones in Golden State continues to get minutes. Clay missed yesterday, but Quinones, even with Clay on the floor, has been getting in the mid-20 range. It gives him a high-end estimate of about 28. He has any shots go down, which he does. He's a pretty decent shooter himself. Prefer Watford, but Quinones in play. Bruno Fernando in Atlanta. The minutes just haven't been as big as I expected. I thought he'd be in the high teens. He's been in the low teens. If he can get his minutes up a little bit, he'd be in the same range with these other guys. But for now, I'm only estimating what he's been playing, and that's about 13. So put him in the low 20s for a high-end estimate. And the really interesting one for me, so Marvin Bagley's still out tonight. They shipped Daniel Gafford out of town. They're going to be really small in Washington, and they have a matchup with Boston, who has a huge front court tonight, so this is not a great matchup for Washington. Eugene Omoruyi. Eugene has a 1.47 point per minute average on the season, which is insane. This level of production puts him in the same stratosphere as like Anthony Davis, which is ridiculous. This guy's 6'6", and he's built like a brick house. He's a really strong guy, but not a big guy. We'll see how this goes tonight. He's a 10 L10, and if he can get minutes in the 20s with this kind of production, you're looking at a high end, possibly in the 40s. Washington has 2 games. Don't know if Bagley's back for the second one or not. Really interesting play here. I think this could be your week winner if he has a good game. He could also flame and just foul out. I would say it's a high risk, high reward, but it's one I think is worth taking. So here's some prices on that group. I've got DeAndre Jordan included here. I don't think I'd be playing him at 8 minutes a night, but $1.49, pretty cheap. Justin Holiday, if you want to take that flyer on a 4, he's $1.49. Nasir Little, $1.94 on the 4. Trenton Watford still under $2. I think that's a great buy right now. Joe Ingles about $2. That's where I think he's probably worth. Bruno Fernando, $2.24. AJ Green, $2.59. He's up a little bit. Robinson's down to $4.44, so his price is coming down. Quinones has been hot. Doesn't have as many cards floating around. He's a little under $6. All right, moving into the small caps. Bol is an 11. Just like with Nasir Little, when Phoenix shipped a lot of their bigger guys out of town, Bol started to get some more minutes. He's been around 15 the last couple of games. 27 for a high-end estimate on 15 minutes for him. He's a productive 1.16 points a minute, so if he can continue to get some minutes, he'll be in play. Miles McBride in New York obviously had to play huge minutes last night with New York really shorthanded after the trade deadline. I've got his expected minutes down to 25. That's probably about where he'd be if Brunson was back. If Brunson is out again, I think he gets huge minutes again and can be a really good play for you. He's even a pretty good play at 25 minutes with a 12 L10, so this is a guy who's definitely in play this week. Jay Crowder's been getting enormous minutes in Milwaukee. Got him about 36 for his last 3-game average. Really unproductive, 0.68 points per minute, but his top end's pretty high with that many minutes. Pistons called Stanley Umude back up from the G League. Let's take a look at his stats, shall we? Well, this is another guy I've been waiting on. He's 48% from the field, 55 from three-point range, and 92 at the line, so another really good shooter. Bigger than Marcus Sasser. He's 6'6", so interesting player. We'll see if they go with their youth, get these guys some minutes down the stretch, see what they can do. I want to see him stretched out a little bit. He did have a couple games where he popped for a 25 and a 30 earlier in the year. Last night, just 17 Sorare points, but he did play 28 and a half minutes. Knowing Monty Williams, he will probably send Moody back to the G League and play Malachi Flynn because, he's an idiot. If Detroit decides they want to see what they have in their young players and he starts to get minutes, guy I would definitely be interested in seeing what he can do on a more full-time basis. 14 L10, and this is actually going to go down a little bit. He's got some low games on the ledger, so if he continues to play, this is a guy you'll be able to use for multiple weeks. I wouldn't be afraid to go grab one of his right now. They're still pretty cheap. If you want a more secure 14 with 2 games, Jose Alvarado is probably your choice. Him and Sam Hauser are real close for a top-end estimate, right in that 27.6 range. Both 14 L10s. Both 2 games this weekend. Jacob Gilyard in Memphis continues to get minutes. Got him about 27. Puts his top end a little over 30. Just 1 game for Memphis. If you want a more secure 15, Luke Cornett has 2 games. He's up in that high 20s range. But there are better plays below this level, as we pointed out already. Scottie Pippen in Memphis, he's getting minutes. I think his minutes are a little safer now. He's played 2 out of the last 3 games, but again, could dry up at any time. Got him at 28, but he's been so productive, I have to talk about him. 41.6 for a high-end estimate on him for a 16 L10. That's incredible. Sasser's minutes I put at 30, but the last 2 games he's had more than that. 32.5 2 games ago against Sacramento, and then last night almost 38 minutes. This was an overtime game, but still he's over 30 even without the overtime period. 30 and then 41 for Sasser. I think he's definitely in play this weekend. Malik Beasley in Milwaukee's still going to get minutes. 17 L10 for him. He's going to be in the mid 30s, I would think. Not real productive for him either, but still a high end of 35 puts him well ahead of everybody else at 17. TJ McConnell at 35 with only 1 game. That's a little high for him. Halliburton's kind of ramping up, which means McConnell will lose some minutes here probably soon. Lou Dort, I've got about 30 minutes, 33 and a half for an estimate. He's got 2 games. Dennis Smith in Brooklyn's interesting, so 19 L10. I've got his top end around 35, and that's based on 25 minutes. I think there's a good chance he gets more than 25 minutes. They are shorthanded right now. A lot of rookies playing for Brooklyn. And then at 20, we've got Paul Reed. Little low for him. 2 games for Philly this weekend, 35 for a high end, so you could certainly play him as well. Checking prices on the small caps here. Luke Cornett down to $1.25. I think that's a pretty good buy, actually. Stanley Umude, $1.50. Love it. Bol only $2.52. There's some value to be had in this tier for sure. Dennis Smith, $3.25. I think that's fair. I don't think I'd overpay for Dort or Crowder, Beasley. Paul Reed's not worth $9 to me either. I want to look at Pippen, though. $5.29. If he can get high 20s minutes, he's been really productive. All right, moving into the mid caps, we've got Jabari Walker at a 21. He's just been playing a lot of minutes. Not a real productive guy, but not bad at 0.87. Top end in that high 30s range. Benedict Mathurin, a 22. I'm yellow on him because I like him, but he's coming off an illness. He didn't play a lot of minutes last night. I expect his minutes to go up as he gets healthy again. 0.88. Not terrible, but I think he's capable of more than that. Not a great play this weekend, but I think a guy you're going to want going forward. Andre Drummond, kind of interesting. He's my top play at 23. Got him yellow because he just suddenly started against the Wolves, I think, to match up with their size. Played really well. Played 31 minutes again yesterday, so last 2 games over 30 minutes. That's a lot for him. He usually plays in the mid-teens. If he's going to continue to play this much, he's certainly a great play at a 23 level. 49 for a top end based on 27 minutes. I'm proceeding with caution because he could just go right back to the mid-teens here. Could just be matchup based. We'll have to kind of wait and see here, but if you want to take a shot at it, Precious Achiuwa, the news coming out that OG Anunoby is going to be out another couple of weeks. This elbow thing, he had to have a procedure done. Precious is going to keep getting minutes. Now you've got Hartenstein hurt his Achilles again last night, had to leave the game. I think his minutes are safe in that 40 range, which is insane. 23 L10 still, 44 for high-end upside. He's certainly capable of that. One game for New York this weekend. Malik Monk in Sacramento. Just been getting more minutes lately. He's been playing better than De'Aaron Fox, honestly. 45.77 top end, 2 games for Sacramento. I think he's a really nice play this weekend. Michael Porter Jr. in Denver is my top 25. 42, so less than Monk in only 1 game. I'd go with Monk here. Aldama's my top 26. He just is all over the place with minutes. The last couple games, he's been over 30, though. And when he plays that much, 0.99, almost a point a minute. Top end in the low 40s. Miles Turner at 27, top end of 42. Turner's minutes have been kind of inconsistent. I think he might still be working through some injuries. 27, though, this is a guy that's obviously capable of huge games. 28, you've got Terry Rozier. Starting to find his footing a little bit in Miami, but still hasn't put up a big game. His top end is still in the low 40s. Bogdan Bogdanovic, low 30s minutes the last couple of games. That puts his top end in the low 40s again. And then at 30, you've got 2 guys with real similar projections. PJ Washington, I'd be real careful with right now as he acclimates himself to Dallas. Just 1 game for Dallas over the weekend. Jakob Poeltl becomes the better play here. He has 2 games. He's getting similar minutes, and his are more secure. We don't know how much PJ Washington is actually going to play in Dallas. Poeltl's top end in the low 40s. And looking at pricing on the mid caps, Jabari Walker obviously cheap, $271. Everybody else over that $4 mark, all the way up to Mathurin at $975. Monk's $850. I think he's your best play really in this group. Him or Drummond. Take that shot at Drummond. He's $528 right now. All right, let's check these blue chips. 31, we've got Jalen Duren, Jeremy Grant, and Jaden Ivey, all with 1 game this weekend. Honestly, Grant coming off a huge game, and Portland being so banged up, I'd probably lean toward him, and I also think he's the cheapest of the group. The guys in Detroit are getting a lot of minutes. That may change when some of the trade pieces fall into place here. At 32, I've got Derek White and Daniel Gafford. Gafford's still yellow. We don't know how he's going to work in with Dallas, but Derek White's a great play this weekend at 32 with 2 games. DiVincenzo continues to play a ton of minutes. He's only got 1 game, but I would trust him to get in that high 30s range. 54 for a top end, so he's definitely still in play. Jalen Green's your best 35, but only 42 for a top end. RJ Barrett at 36. He's getting a lot of minutes in Toronto. High end of 49, 2 games for them. Brandon Ingram, 37 L10, low 30s minutes for New Orleans. 49 for a high-end upside in 2 games. Very close to Porzingis, though, and he also has 2 games. You can go either way there. Kyle Kuzma in Washington. He's going to have to carry the load. 38 L10, projected over 50 in 2 games. You could go Chet, but Kuzma's way cheaper and about the same production. Scotty Barnes. We don't know how this team's going to fit together with the new pieces they added. It's going to be another adjustment period, so certainly capable of hitting the 56, and he does have 2 games. Tyrese hasn't looked the same, honestly, since coming back from injury, and I know his minutes have been slowly increasing. He just doesn't look right out there. At 40, I don't know how you don't play him if you own one. Only 1 game for the Pacers. I think if you have a Halliburton, you kind of have to play him. You got to hope his minutes come up, and then obviously he's capable of much more than 56. We've seen that earlier in the year. Jamal Murray at 41, projected over 50. 1 game for Denver. If you want a guy with 2 games, you could go DeJounte Murray, close to the same level. Think he's probably back. I think they were sitting him, thinking they may trade him, and now that they haven't, he will be back and playing. James Harden at 42, projected over 56. He's been playing really well. 43, it would be Şengün. 44, Trae Young's a great play again this week. 64.15 for a top end. 2 games for the Hawks. 1.31 a minute. He's been playing really well lately. I would get him in if you have one. LeBron James at 45, high end of 63, only 1 game for the Lakers. Jason Tatum at 47, 2 games over the weekend. He's a nice play, 58 for a high-end upside. Sabonis at 48, you're looking over 60 for him. He's been playing really well. Badly as Fox has been playing, Sabonis has been playing really well. 2 games for the Kings. Davis upside of 67. Get him in at 51, that's pretty low for him. Still got Luka over 80. Jokic about 75. Giannis falls down under 70. SGA just over 70 with 2 games. Really nice play. But honestly, at this level, you can play any of these guys. I am noticing that some of my L10 numbers are off of what Sorare has, so I'm still working through what this issue is and why they're not matching up. But bear with me here. We'll figure this out. Just looking at some of the prices on this group, though. Jeremy Grant, not a 31, actually a 34. 483, pretty decent price yet. But obviously, as you get into the higher cap numbers, you get more expensive players. 5 hours until lock here. So good luck with your locks. Good Good luck this weekend, and we'll see you back next week. All right, hope that helps. Going to be a lot of ways to build your lineups this week. As always, please like the video. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Appreciate you. Subscribe if you want to get notifications when these videos drop. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.